Around and listening to us on IMSA Radio RS2 via imsaradio.com, thank you. If you have the ability, you're not driving and you've got the bandwidth, time to click the live video button on imsaradio.com. It's live, it's free, no subscription, no interruptions. It's flag to flag, Idemitsu Mazda MX-5 coming next.
Presented by BF Goodrich on IMSA Radio.
Welcome along to the 5th and 6th rounds of the championship for the 2022 Idemitsu Mazda MX-5 race series. We are beautiful mid-Ohio, just outside of Lexington, Ohio. Good to have your company. 2.4 miles and 13 corners, although in fairness turns 3, 10 probably are pretty flat and not really making them in. The keyhole's at the top of the hill. That's officially turn 2, and there's an overtaking opportunity there down at turn 4 as well with China Beach, the big gravel trap right in front of you, and that is down at the bottom of the hill before you start the roller coaster ride through madness at turn 5, and then 6, 7 and 8 the S's. No bridge there now. Turn 9 is a right-hander that takes you onto what the locals call Thunder Valley, and then you're heading through that insanely quick kink at turn 10 into turn 11, the carousel at 12, and the little kink onto the start-finish line, or at least the finish line here. A little bit threatening on the weather. Just been talking to some of our broadcast colleagues over at Indianapolis, where they have the Grand Prix on the circuits for NTT Indy cars. They'll be here later on in the season, of course, at Mid-Ohio. And they are bringing everything forward with a bit of weather coming in now. I think we're going to be all right for this session. Shea Adam, experienced motorsport journalist and pit lane reporter, is with me in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre. And Shea Adam, nice and tight at the top, but we've got a new name on pole position.
Yes, we do. Matthew Dirks, driver of the Macumbi McLaren number 76 Mazda, is first time pole position, will not be the last. Team owner Stephen McAleer told me about this young man before the season began, said it wouldn't take him long to figure these cars out. Well, indeed it hasn't, and Matthew Dirks' first pole position, and more importantly, 10 points going his way before this race even begins. Points matter, especially for the young Colorado kid who was the 2019 Teen Mazda Challenge champion, looking to make a mark here. He started that today.
Yeah, he's done a very, very good job indeed, because this is a quality field. The number 76 Macumbi McAleer Racing Mazda will come to the green flag in pole position. He'll have Gresham Wagner from Spark Performance in the number 5 car, which has gained a bit of green on that car for this season. He'll be alongside. The second row is his teammate. Right behind him, Justin Piscatel in the 89, and Jared Thomas for JTR Motorsports Engineering in the number 96, as we look at the Mazda starting grid. Michael Carter, former series champion for Carter Racing Enterprises in the 08. That's another red, white and black car. And Glenn McGee for JTR, the second of the Jared Thomas Racing machines. He's on the outside of row 3. Celine Roland for Hickson Motorsports, the 87, is in P7. And on the outside of row 4, Joey Atanasio is the best of the rookies in the formidable Racing number 43. Row 5 on the inside, Bruno Caniero for Hickson Motorsports, and he's got Jensen Altman in the 13 for Macumbi McAleer Racing for Company. Then on row 6, it's Max Opalaski, another one of the rookies, Copeland Motorsport. That's the first Copeland car, actually. Quite a long way down there in 11th position. Aidan Fastnacht for Macumbi McAleer Racing in position 12 with a 15 car. David Starb has Slipstream Performance number 36 Mazda in 13th position, and on the outside of row 7, Tyler Gonzalez for Copeland Motorsport. Aaron Jenson for Spark Performance is in the 24 car. He's in an uncharacteristically lowly starting position of 15th from Rice Cornet, who's the Hickson Motorsport rookie in the 65 car in 16th. Jean Chaudin for Macumbi McAleer Racing is on the inside of row number 9 with Rossi Lee right on his shoulder there for Spark Performance. And making up the top 20, Alex Bachura for Spark Performance, along with Anthony McIntosh. Actually, I might just have time before they come to the green, although the time has started as they've gone across the finish line now. It will be Alex Bachura, Anthony McIntosh, Woody Hyman, Connor Zilic, Moise Ureski, Ethan Tyler, Jameson Riley, Laura Hayes, Michael Starb, Chris Nooms and Sam Pearley towards the back, and Sheer, some of those drivers out of position because of infractions during the qualifying sessions.
Yeah, the podium standard for the first time at the last race at St. Petersburg. Sam Paley back in the field, ride height infraction. Chris Noons missed tech altogether, so he got moved to the back. New livery on that 32 machine. You'll notice it's bright pink now, John. That's for breast cancer awareness. And we've also got Jameson Riley to the back in his yellow Mazda. That was for an engine change between the practice and qualifying.
So 45 minutes is what we started with. We've already started counting down, but we come to the start line. We started the clock at the finish line, if that makes any sense. It's round 5 of the 2022 Idemitsu Mazda MX-5s for the first round of 2 here at Mid-Ohio in this unique starting procedure. In the pole position man in that dark green, number 76 with the Air Force stripes on it, gets away. Matthew Dirks, his first pole position, but he is very confident and takes the lead. From in second, Gresham Wagner with the green, red and white car. Side by side behind Piscatel, Jared Thomas, Michael Carter sitting in behind them as well. Thomas in the silver, number 96 is moving into third. I paused for a moment because it was a little bit tight with the Justin Piscatel purple car in there. They've all got through the first half a lap or so pretty neat and tidily, and the leading pair already pulling away. It's Matthew Dirks from McCumbee McAleer Racing who leads it from pole position. Sam Pearley down in the midfield there, I think, with his hazard flashes on, or was that even a little bit further back than Sam, as they come across to complete the first half lap of racing. 42.5 minutes to go. Matthew Dirks has done the first job at Shea, and that is converting pole position to a lead, a slim lead, with Gresham Wagner right in his wheel tracks.
And he owes a big bill of thank you to teammate Justin Piscatel, who played tail gunner for him for the first couple of corners to keep Jared Thomas and, more importantly, Gresham Wagner behind and distract Gresham. Look at how Justin Piscatel is now dropping down the field. I talked with him extensively yesterday. He said this is part of his strategy. He's not going to use up his car at the beginning of the race. He might drop back a little bit, but he's confident in his Mazda to be able to get back to the front of the field when he needs to be there, i.e. when they give out the trophies at the end of the race.
So the leaders have just about broken away. There's a car sitting, if you will, in a bit of no man's land in behind them, and that is the silver number 96 of Jared Thomas as he tries to get back on terms with the leading pair. Then the red, white and black car is Michael Carter, I think, who's coming through there in the Carter Racing Enterprises machine. Yes, it is. They come through the Thunder Valley area for the second time in this 45-minute race. It is time certain if the leader's coming into the carousel, and I'm not sure, Shea, that Justin Piscatel is actually gaining on these two. It looks like Matthew Dirks and Gresham Wagner are, if not working together, then they're certainly not fighting each other either, are they?
Yeah, and to be perfectly honest, Jared Thomas might be looking in his rearview mirror, seeing Michael Carter, the champion from 2 years ago, and right behind him, Celine Roland, looking for the championship lead. As Celine Roland is off, goes Aaron Johnson a little bit further back in the all-star car, but manages to keep it going. I think Thomas is actually giving up a little bit of speed, trying to gain dancing partners, if you will, John.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. The midfield, as ever, has all kinds of battle. Just checking the best of the rookies. That is the number 21. That's the car with the darker hindquarters and the light on the front. And that is Bruno Cagnero for Hickson Motorsports. He's right in the middle of a cracking scrap at the moment that also includes Jensen Altman. And they're coming through madness now. Altman is the 13 car, the grey and black. Right behind him, Cagnero, and alongside Cagnero, Tyler Gonzalez in the grey and bright orange That is one of the Copeland Motorsport cars. Oh, we've already had 5 minutes as they stream down into Thunder Valley and off onto the grass. The number 21 is Bruno Canheiro. Canheiro then for Hickson drops a couple of places. He's not in any danger at the moment because the next, in terms of his rookie position, because Joey Atanasio for Formidable Racing is in 11th position, so a couple of cars further back as the leaders complete another lap share.
Bruno Carniero making a nice move, or attempting a nice move on Tyler Gonzalez, the first race winner of the year. Just couldn't make it stick, though, could Carniero. I spoke with him yesterday, and he said that his season is very much up in the air right now. He needs additional funding. So running as the best rookie today certainly will help get people's attention on him, but he is going to have to battle with Bryce Cornier, another one of those youngsters who hasn't had the best of season so far. He came second in the scholarship fund last year, John. He wants to move up one more, win the championship, but it's a long way from there, and the rookie prize certainly worth going for because $75,000 helps your racing season. Both Carniero and Cornet need that.
Talking with Chris Noons when he was on the way to this event for Midweek Motorsport, he joined us live from the Julie that he was pulling the car with earlier on the week, and he says this is a destination championship, and with the kind of money that's available, real cash money, you don't have to stay. I mean, if you win the championship, you can take the prize away if you really want to, but there's good money up for grabs here, Shea.
Exactly. Even if you come second in the championship, you get $80,000, which covers a complete season of racing. So first and second prize money, that is good enough incentive to be here. That's why this is a destination championship. Exactly as you said, John, this is where people want to be because, well, it keeps on paying for itself.
Well, if you've decided you're going to lay out a certain amount of money to go racing, and the points, the championship cash payout goes down to 10th in the championship, well, you know, even if you don't make it all back, you're going to get something back. Sam Paley's just gone through in the number 28 McCumbee McAleer racing car, and I mention him because he's just taken the fastest lap of the race, 1:36.549. There's points for that as well as pole position share, and that will all add up at the end of the year with the leaders once again at the keyhole.
Correct. You get 10 points for winning pole position, 10 points for leading the most laps. So right now that also is going the way of young Matthew Dirks, and 10 points for the fastest lap. So we've seen a lot of championship points awarded so far this year, John, for very different things. So keeping in mind, $250,000 for winning the championship. Every time you lead the most laps in a race, you get 10 points. Well, that's why Matthew Dirks wants to be out front, and that's why Gresham Wagner, the defending champion, doesn't want him to be.
Not even down to anywhere near half distance yet. 37 of the 45 minutes that we started with still going, and we've got the top quartet back together. So when Shea Adam mentioned a little while ago about Jared Thomas maybe dropping back to Michael Carter, if that was a ploy, it's worked. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 as quickly as I can say them through turn 10 and turn 11, now setting themselves up for the carousel, the long right-hander. These cars sticking right to the red and white inside curbs there before they kink onto the finishing straight, and they go across the line and complete their 5th lap. Matthew Dirks, Gresham Wagner, Jared Thomas, Michael Carter, Justin Piscatel just a little bit further back in that bright bluey purple Mazda MX-5. These cars built as racing cars, they come in as street cars from the factory in Japan, come into Florida, and they head immediately to the preparation area, which all of the cars come through, stripped down basically to their constituent parts. The engines are not touched. The Fliss Motoring Organisation, well, there's a pass for the lead. I'll come back to that, and it's not just for the lead, it's for first and second. Down into turn 4. Great manoeuvre from Gresham Wagner. He knows what it's like to lead, and fabulous move as well by Jared Thomas, excuse me. Yeah. Michael Carter still in 4th. So the red, green, white and black car leads from the silver car in second. That was experience from both of those drivers, Shea.
That really was, and considering that Jared Thomas is our championship leader, 2 wins on the year, 2 races where he's led the most laps, and he is fighting with the guy who won the championship last year. But remember, Jared Thomas last year had a really good run here and then was later disqualified after winning the race. This is ultimate redemption for Jared Thomas. He realizes there's still 35 minutes to go, but at this stage in the game, he's happier to be up in second than fourth.
And he doesn't want Gresham Wagner to pull away. That is
No.
certain. Let me just go back to the story of these cars. As I say, they come in from Japan, they go to the Fliss brothers, and of course, as I start that again, we have Ethan Tyler off, the rookie in the number 80, the all-white Hickson car, but he's pointing in the right direction. The cars, as I say, stripped pretty much down to their constituent parts. The engines are sealed so that we're on a level playing field. Now, did Ethan get some help? Oh, yes.
Yep,
Moisey
Uretsky.
With a little bit of a bump and run in the carousel. The engines are exactly the same as the cars you would buy from your Mazda dealer, straight off the showroom floor, producing the same amount of horsepower, the 2-litre engines. Gearboxes are changed from the street car. These have got sequential racing gearboxes. They've got impressive racing suspension that comes from Multimatic. In fact, this is the least expensive race car that you can buy that has the Multimatic adjustable suspension on it. Then all the FIA safety gear goes in, including the big roll cage and the all of the racing seats and the steering wheel and everything like that. 250 race parts on this car, but the engine is all MX-5, the heart of the beast. They do turn out to be a little bit lighter than the street cars because there are various trim items that are taken out as well. But proper race cars and proper fun from these drivers who are flinging them around this Mid-Ohio sports car course. And I actually think that these cars are probably the most versatile racing machines, Adam, that we see in IMSA competition, because they are equally at home on the high banks of Daytona, and we get the same kind of close quarters racing as we do at Sebring or on the streets of St. Pete or here at a natural terrain road course.
Yeah, or Road America, or at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. These cars are just phenomenal wherever we take them. And proof is in the pudding of the driving standards, John, because we've got people like Gresham Wagner, like Moisey Uretsky, who go from these cars. They go attempt to drive in other series. They wind up race winners in other series. And speaking of race winners, Jared Thomas, last year's race winner before Tech, he has just taken the lead.
Early days, though, and my thoughts here is watch out for Justin Piscatel, because the leading four are swapping places, and the bright bluey purple car with the yellow wheels and roll hoop is gaining on them, and he's dragging with them Celine Roland for Hickson and Jensen Altman. Jensen Altman well up in the top 10. It's been a steady progression for young Jensen in the number 13 car. Often hasn't qualified as well as he has, but he races as well as he'd like to, but races very well indeed, and once again he's in the top 10. Last season was unfortunate and got caught up in a couple of accidents that weren't his fault, but it's, as I say, been steady progression for the youngster. McCumbee McAleer Racing driver now, chasing the experienced Celine Roland. These are all young drivers. Some of them have more experience than others, but what they're getting here is racecraft, and they are getting that in spades with this close racing. And there we have it, coming out of the keyhole on lap number 9. We have the top 7 all back together again.
This is fantastic. And one thing that I'm seeing a lot of, John, Piscatel not using his tires or his brakes to the extreme yet. The car is not flying around. It's not unstable. The same can be said for Celine Roland as Gresham Wagner looks for the lead again going into turn 4. This time he gets it, but will the over-under stick? Yes, it does. The one difference that I've seen, Jared Thomas, he's using his rear tires a lot. How much power is he going to have at the end of this 40-minute contest?
BF Goodrich tyres for all of the Idemitsu Mazda MX-5 Cup drivers. You get a limited number for the weekend, so you do have to think about how you're going to use them between practice, qualifying and the 2 races. Another race tomorrow, that will be on the drivers' minds as well. A full course
Full
yellow.
course caution.
Full course yellow is out. This is for, oh, now I was going to say, I thought it was for the 37 car that had a spin, Michael Starr for slipstream, but that was at turn 1. I think he's continued, actually. Can't see him over there. But we will see the Mazda safety car. They come across the line. Just on 30 minutes to go, and we're under full course caution. Our first full course caution of the 5th round of the Idemitsu Mazda MX-5 Cup, presented by BF Goodrich Tyres for 2022. Well, there is weather closing in here at Mid-Ohio on this weekend, this IMSA WeatherTech Racing weekend. Not hearing from race control that is the problem. And in fact, now we are hearing this is a weather warning, and we're hearing that this might go red here if there is severe weather or lightning in the area. That means that there cannot be racing out on the track. Bizarre, of course, in that we are in full sunshine here, but it is about the proximity. Couple of incidents being looked at by race control whilst they're dealing with this as we go to red flag. Numbers 80, Ethan Tyler, and the 55, that was Maziereski, wasn't it?
Yes.
That's under review. And also the number 23, Glenn McGee, and the number 51, Tyler Gonzalez. Now, they're quite well split up in the line, but that is under review. However, we are under red flag. And the safety car is out, the MX-5 safety car, which is running in the old DPI colours of the Mazda prototype, the white with the grey stripe. Wind is picking up here, and the weather is close enough by with electrical storms in the area that this has brought a premature halt to this with just 17 minutes gone. It was about 15 minutes when we went to full course caution. If you are watching around the world and wondering why in bright sunshine we have got a red flag for weather, lightning in the area, and as soon as it gets within a certain radius of the track, then for safety reasons the corner workers and indeed our camera operators have to seek shelter, and that will, I'm afraid, bring a premature halt to the proceedings here. There'll be it's normally 30 minutes, isn't it, for a weather warning?
Yes. Yeah, and I'm just looking at the number of laps that we've had elapsed, which reads 9. I believe that Matthew Dirks has led the majority of those.
Correct.
So if the race were to be called at this standpoint, I don't know how points would be awarded, if they would be awarded, because we haven't reached halfway point of
Correct.
green flag running yet. But if that were the case, Matthew Dirks would come out with a very nice points haul, 3rd place on the road, and leading the most laps. The fastest lap and the hard charger award would go the way of his teammate Sam Paley, who he starts alongside tomorrow's race. So that could be a good thing too.
Shea Adam and John Hindhaugh in the booth with the action brought to a halt here. Red flag out for weather warning in the area. And as it stood then, at the end of the last racing lap, Gresham Wagner had just retaken the lead before we went to full course caution, or just retaken the lead from Jared Thomas as we went to full course caution before the red came out. So Spark Performance driver Gresham Wagner in the number 5 championship leader ahead of JTR's Jared Thomas. Matthew Dirks, pole sitter, pushed down to 3rd ahead of Michael Carter in 4th, Justin Piscatel in 5th. And the top 10 made up with Celine Roland in 6th, Jensen Altsman in 7th, Tyler Gonzalez in 8th, Bryce Cornet, the best of the of the rookie. So what happened to Joey Atanasio? He went off, remember, at turn 9 and lost a couple of places. Sam Paley getting through there and also lost his lead rookie status as well, as he's dropped behind Paley in 10th into 11th, and has Bruno Cañero and Aidan Fasnacht right with him as well. So first race this weekend with a decent start at the green flag on the backstretch at the kick of turn 3 that saw Paul Sitter, Matthew Dirks hold on to his lead, but around about 4 or 5 laps in, dragged past by Gresham Wagner and Jared Thomas. Then we had the incident between Moise Oretsky and the number 80 of Ethan Tyler for Hickson. That's under review. Thomas gained the lead from Wagner with a lovely outside pass round turn number 5, and then lost it at the same spot on the racetrack, turn 4 should I say, and Wagner on the inside making it stick. That was before we had an intervention from the safety car, and then red flag, then the weather. Soche, a red flag still waving, cars down the pit lane at the moment, and very threatening clouds off in the distance. Wagner came in here as the championship leader, so if it doesn't reach... sorry, he did not. No, who did?
Thomas.
Jared Thomas, yes, exactly.
And Jared Thomas holds on to that championship lead if we don't resume and points are awarded. He's come in with 2 wins on the season. 2 times he's led the most laps in a race. This second place finish would elevate him to his 3rd podium finish in 5 races. It is also Gresham Wagner's 3rd podium finish in 5 races, but with 2 second places and 1 win, it is not enough. And of course, the Daytona race, which did not go well for Gresham Wagner, finished in the 21st position, but it would move him up at least to 3rd in points, given that Sam Paley still quite a bit further down the field. It also elevates Matthew Dirks, who came into this race in 20th position as far as the points are concerned. That's going to move him up at least, by my counts, to 13th. It's exactly what Chris Nunes was talking about, John. Massive championship point swings, race on race. This is what Matthew Dirks needed. And Chris Nunes, he currently sits down in the 25th position. It's exactly what he didn't need, because he came into this race in 6th in championship. Not going to be a good one if it doesn't restart for him. Checkered flag is now being shown on Race Control Channel. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, I am. I was just going to say that this is not going to restart. So even now we are barely halfway through. We had 8 green flag laps, just on about 15 minutes of racing, but we will not resume. It's a pretty tight day today, and this could have knock-on effects to IMSA WeatherTech qualifying, and of course the Mid-Ohio 120 for the Pilot Challenge coming up later on. It's just on half past midday here, half noon, and quite a lot to fit in this afternoon. So unfortunately for those in the Idemitsu Mazda MX-5 Cup paddock, they will not see any further racing today. We still have the situation that it's bright sunlight on the racetrack at the moment, but with severe weather and electrical activity within the permitted area, race control has had no option but to throw the red on this. Shea Adam working to find out what points might be added to the championship totals at the moment. But let me reiterate then our unofficial results at the red flag, with Gresham Wagner winning for Spark Performance behind the safety car and subsequently the red flag. Jared Thomas, championship leader, coming into this weekend after the first 4 rounds, 2 at Daytona and 2 on the streets of St. Pete's. JTR Motorsports Engineering in the silver number 96 in second. Dirks Matthews will be a little bit disappointed. Really did well in the first half dozen or so laps and held his well-earned pole position and led the race. He'll finish in 3rd ahead of Michael Carter in 4th for Carter Racing Enterprises, Justin Piscatel and Celine Roland. 10 past 11 ET tomorrow for race 2. Let's keep our fingers crossed that we get that one off. We'll keep an eye on the weather and keep you updated via at IMSA Radio for what's going on for the rest of the afternoon. Much shorter than we had hoped for. Round 5 of the Idemitsu Mazda MX-5 Cup for 2022, presented by BF Goodrich Tyres. There'll be no more racing here for them today. There'll hopefully be plenty more tomorrow. For Shea Adam, I'm John Hindhaugh. Bye for now.
Subscribe to IMSA Radio wherever you get your podcasts.
This is RS2, part of the Radio Show Limited Network.
Well, it's a very long time since I've been to Santa Pod in the centre of the UK, whilst something has been on track, but that's where we are this Easter weekend. Listen to that. Tom Davis from VP Racing Fuel is alongside me. Tom, this is one of the big events here for 2022. VP Racing, an integral part of this event, and indeed the whole year at Santa Pod.
Yes, John. Yeah, kicks off the year season here. VP, we're proud to be the official fuel and track prep of the venue here. It's been about a relationship that's been on for about 15 years on and off. But yeah, we've got a lot of love for this place.
This is a really extreme form of motorsport. When you're talking about the kind of power outputs that we see in drag racing here in Europe, and particularly in NHRA in the States, you cannot afford to have anything that's going to go wrong here. Consistency and quality has to be the key.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got over 80 blends in the States, and we've got access to them in the UK. But that's where VP's born from. It was born from drag racing. That was how it all started, and that's where our background is. And you're right, and that's why people trust our fuels, because of the consistency. They're always the same. The chemicals that we use are high grade. Everything we make is made in Texas and canned in Texas, and it's not tinkered with or anything else. So I think it means a lot. It means a lot to these guys. So you say when that happens, you've got a lot of money, and as you know, John, if it goes wrong, it goes horribly wrong. So, and I don't mean that just from an accident, but the engine-wise as well. I mean, these rebuilds, $500,000 plus.
I know people will always look at race fuel, anybody's race fuel, and will always say, well, it's a bit too expensive, I can just use pump fuel. But what you take out of VP is the fact that it's made, it's sealed, and the next time that it's opened, it's going into your fuel tank before it's being used.
Yeah, and I think the problem is it's engineered for a purpose. Pump gas isn't engineered. It's engineered for us to stick in our Audis and BMWs and run up and down the road. This is engineered for a purpose, to get the best out of your engine and your car. And that's why I'm saying we've got over 80 different fuels, because every engineer, every car setup is different. It's slightly different. Even two cars here that you might talk with someone and they look identical, I guarantee the engine builder, he'll have a difference of opinions. They're never going to agree. So that's the beauty of the VP product range, and the fact that we support them as well. So we've got a really good technical team over in the States, and they actually support these guys as well.
People would think, and obviously the relationship with IMSA, the company is American, but there's a growing global presence, and particularly here in the UK and Europe.
So yeah, absolutely. We're all around the world basically. America is obviously where it's made, and that's where our headquarters are. But we're opening an office up in Europe, in Berlin. I'm based in the UK and I cover Europe, and we've got Australia, we've got literally all around the world where you can get VP products, and it is growing. And I think that's something that VP's very keen to do, and it's building because of, like you said, because of IMSA and things like this, where now with the global footprint of Facebook and everything else, people are seeing our brand and wanting to see winners on it. So yeah, it's absolutely, we're going from strength to strength at the moment.
Obviously, with its background and its heritage and its roots in drag racing, that's an obvious connection. There's another pair. I'll never get tired of that. Never get tired of it. Here in Europe, is it a little bit of an education process? I know that you are the official fuel, for example, of the British Rally Championship. How did that association come about, and how do you build those partnerships?
Yeah, so again, that's come through our rallying. We worked with a UK rally manufacturer for a number of years, and again, a colleague of mine, Freddie Terza, was instrumental into developing a fuel. We had R5 and R5.1, and that fuel was developed with an engine builder and run teams, and to get the best out of it, they wanted the best fuel. We wanted a great partner. I think that was developed from there, and what that did was then set a platform in rallying that the fuel was going to get the best out of those cars. It was engineered for that type of car as well. And again, that's the beauty of VP, is we can engineer fuels for applications. So recently we've brought over a fuel for FIA Classic Racing, which Old Hall are stocking and selling. So that's my point, is there is so much that VP can do. Rallying is huge for us in the UK and in Europe as well. And drag racing, I said drag racing is and that's spurred really from our relationship with Santa Pod.
Really? So that's all come from where we're standing now?
Yeah, I think the guys, so Keith Bartlett, he is very influential in Europe in drag racing. So he works at the FIA and he works at nearly every drag sort of circuit and everything organisation, and it helps to build that out. It helps to build that out. Yes, I think people knew it from America as well, but we're very much about partnerships. I said the partnership here. The drag is prepared with our lane prep products as well.
Oh, really?
So so that's to get the best out of the cars that run here. So it's like a very sticky substance you get down there. It's the complete package, really.
And in terms of building those partnerships with other championships, other types of racing, is there a typical way that it works? Do you go to them and say, look, we've got, for example, what I know, Motorsport 100, that's the IMSA fuel. So you might go to a GT or a endurance championship, or do championships come to you and say, hey, look, here's our technical spec, can you produce us a fuel?
It varies. Tend to over here, a lot of it is tendered out. So the championships will put a tender out, and it has to meet certain FIA regs a lot of the time. So so it's our job, to meet people, work with partners. Like I said, get involved with a lot of sponsorship as well, as and I think motorsport can't run without its sponsorship. So there's lots of times where where we will be a control fuel, and obviously we're putting money back in as well. So it's a so it's a circle that helps, and I think people don't often realise that I think tell you, but any form of motorsport takes a lot of time and money, and I think if it wasn't for the sponsorship money coming in through the doors, a lot of this motorsport wouldn't happen.
In the our listeners will know from what goes on in IMSA that it's not just racing fuel. There is a benefit to potential high performance car users, and not just from VP Racing Fuels, the same red, white and blue is on other products now, and things like coolants. Official coolant of IMSA is Stay Frosty. So ultimately we do get the benefit of performance car drivers, or people maybe doing track days and stuff like that.
100%. I mean, I'm just looking at the rack behind us there, and we have so many different products. We've got oils as well. We're bringing over now car cleaning products. We've got all the, like you said, the Stay Frosty, the cool down products. It's a huge range, but everything that VP does is from that racing perspective. So you're right, it's all diffused for these high performance street cars and track cars, but it's our technical ability to develop it. So it's that trust basis, that's the whole point. This is where we differ. It's a brand that we understand the cars, we understand what's needed, and that's what it's developed from. It's genuinely scientists. I've been to the factory. It is genuinely scientists.
Engineering at a molecular level here. We're talking about carbon chains and stuff like that.
Pretty well, yeah. I'm sure he put it this way. He completely baffled me, but that's not difficult, John. But I think it is genuinely one of those where everything that VP does is to a high quality. It's engineered for its purpose. That's the whole point. It's we do it. We make sure it works. And like you said, when you're the official coolant of IMSA, and you know those cars better than I do, I think it's testament to what our products can do.
There's a big amount of conversation going on about ethanol in pump fuel at the moment, particularly here in the UK. Are we going to get the stabilisers and some of the other products as well?
Yeah, that is part of what we want to roll out. I think the thing is for us is obviously making sure the brand is known in the UK and Europe as a household name. I mean, that's the thing with VP in the States, is everywhere you go. When I went into the States back Christmas, and the chap at the security desk asked me what I was doing while I was here, and I said, I work for VP, and it was almost like through you go. I think once we get to that level of a bit more recognition of the brand, then yes, we have a lot of the products. But like I said again, we've got our ethanol shields, which are really good that you can use for that. So it's just making sure that we do it step by step, and there's a demand there for our products.
Looking further ahead this year, what other major events will we see VP Racing Fuels at in the UK for our UK listeners, at least this year?
So all the British Rally Championship rounds we will be at. So that's something we'll be at. We'll be back at Santa Pod a number of times this year, and also I think it's there or thereabouts to be released. I'll break cover on it and get told. But we're going to be an official fuel partner for the Wheeling Euro NASCAR Series. I think there's 6 events all across Europe, and I think the first one is Valencia, and then it's at a good old Brands Hatch. So that's going to be amazing because that is a great series, a brilliant series. We're really pleased to be able to work with them. Lots more to talk about that as well another day, but that'll be a big one. That'll be a really big one. And that event itself, 50,000-60,000 people over a weekend. So we support a lot of other individual racers and teams as well. So you get to see our brand pretty much everywhere.
Keep an eye open for the red, white and blue of VP Racing. If it doesn't say VP Racing on the can, it's not VP Racing Fuel or one of their other products. Tom Davies, thanks for joining us. I'm going to put my ear protection back on and get back to the fence now and push my nose up as I did when I was a teenager. It's brilliant to be back here. Good to see you as well. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Sean. Thank you.
This programme is a Radio Show Limited production. For more, check imsaradio.com and subscribe to IMSA Radio wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello everybody and welcome to another real world road test on the Radio Show Limited network of channels. I'm John Hindhaugh and I've come halfway around the world to test this particular car because I can't now get one of these new in the UK. I've come to Australia and the subject of this test is the Porsche 991 Generation 2 GT3 Touring.
Real world road tests.
Right, well let's turn off the flat 6 engine and start outside the car. I thought you would enjoy a little bit of Porsche flat 6 noise before we got things underway. So Porsche 911, absolute classic of course, and Porsche are past masters of towards the end of the life of a car on an iteration, bringing out some special edition models. The 991 Generation 2 was no exception to that rule, with the 992 already available for order in the UK and indeed here in Australia. People probably already forgetting about the 991 category, but this is a car that will not be forgotten very, very easily at all. At the end of the life of the 991, Porsche came out with a set of 4-litre cars, including the R and the GT3, which were to some the ultimate iteration of the normally aspirated flat 6-cylinder engine. All of the cars that followed on from that, and indeed the new 992s, so far at least, are all the 3-litre turbocharged engines. Now, I've driven those cars and they are very, very good indeed. So what makes this Porsche GT3 Touring so different? Well, first of all, let's talk about that 911R. It was immediately a classic, immediately collectible, and people speculated on those cars, and some made very decent money indeed. Anything with RS or R, or even to a certain extent with GT in a Porsche 911, is something that's going to command a price premium, and certainly the R did. Essentially, this is a very similar car to the R and of course to the GT3 on which it's based. The GT3, for many people though, just a little bit too shouty with stripes, and of course that big wing on the back with the rear deck of the car transformed into something more akin to a race car than an executive express. Well, with the GT3 Touring, what Porsche have done is, in some ways perhaps, undermined some of those speculators, because they've brought out a car that looks and feels and sounds very much like the R. In fact, there's a little bit